everyone? What is going on? What's up? What's poppin'? What's poppin'? Welcome to the No Life Digital podcast. How is everyone doing? Before we begin, make sure you follow us over at our website, nolife.digital, our Twitter at nolifedigital, and of course, Twitch/nolifedigital. Today, we got tons and tons of news, a lot of PS5 news, a lot of big stuff coming out of the Sony camp. And then in tech, we have to talk about Huawei essentially being banned. And then a couple Apple things. And there's a really, really interesting story coming out of the crypto community that we will touch on. And that's pretty much it. All right, I'm still waiting on a couple of my co-hosts to get in. So in the meantime, we will just chill with this music. Are you in, Jerry?
My mic's just super fucking low for some reason.
Oh, there we go. I can hear you. You're still a little low.
I bet.
How was the move, dude?
Shitty.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's moving. It sucks. I don't have anything set up yet, basically. That's not obvious by this wonderful bullshit angle.
It does look pretty nice, like a somewhat of a Dutch angle going on. We're waiting for Doobie. He had to restart his computer right as the show went live.
Well, yeah, it helps if you'd also send the link before 3 minutes before you want to go live. But yeah, I want to talk about the Huawei stuff. I want to talk about Apple and... But yeah, there's a lot of weird news this week.
Well, we might as well get into that because while we're waiting.
Yeah, because like it was a weird week.
Is there any way you could turn your mic up just a little bit?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep going.
That's perfect. Perfect. Don't move it. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, like, dude, it was just a weird week. Like that, I don't know how else to describe tech this week, just with the Huawei stuff.
Well, that was huge.
That was huge, but it's weird. Like, it's not a. There's so many things that go with the Huawei ban that's like crazy. So it's just fucking bizarre. Then Apple's doing their bizarro updates that they like to do.
All right, so with Apple, I like this new sort of like incremental upgrade Apple that's been going on.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I've been begging for this for years. Like, please update your shit, basically.
Yeah.
It's just how they do their updates that's like the weird part. Like, okay, so we updated the 15-inch, but if you want a 13-inch, like we pulled a MacBook Air and we bumped up the clock speed of your shitty processor like by 200 megahertz. Ooh.
Yeah, it's using the only one that really got a big upgrade was the top of the line 15-inch MacBook Pro, which basically gets a 9th gen Intel 8-core chip. And that was pretty much it. And it's the same price. Yeah.
No, so, it's like the 15-inch is it's a great update.
That's
like,
it, though.
I'm not complaining about that in any way. It's more just the like, all right, so we upgraded the top end one, and then anyone else was like some of the lower ends got like a slight upgrade, but the only 13 that got changed was the touch bar, which who buys a touch bar?
Yeah.
And that was just like a clock speed bump.
All right, so the last MacBook update was recently, and I'm going to tell you exactly when it was. I'm going to find it in there.
Yeah, it's the Vega thing like 2 months ago.
Yeah, so if you are someone, and then before that, it was like 3 months before that when they finally added like the good updates to it.
Which I'm not complaining. And the thing that I'm really the most interested in, even more than any of the spec bumps, and why I'm like, think this is so weird and I'm kind of salty about it, is it's okay. So now they have the fourth generation of the shitty ass keyboard that they can't ever seem to fix, that they're claiming they now fixed.
Yeah, that was my biggest upset is that I kind of wanted a brand new, like all new MacBook. You know what I mean?
Same.
I wanted a new keyboard, a new design.
I don't want it to be as thin, to be honest. Like for you now have the Air out, which is great to an extent, but let that be that thin design. Make the MacBook Pro a little bit bigger, make it thermally sound, make it the Pro machine.
Yeah, we don't know anything about like anything else that they updated other than the specs that they told us, but I doubt there's a new like cooling engine.
No, yeah, I don't think so either.
Because that's the big concern, is cooling and the keyboard. Those are the two big concerns that people had for years now, since 2016.
It's been a long time, and the thing I don't get is this is why they just need to make a fucking new one, is because okay, now you have the fourth gen butterfly switch thing on what, just the 15-inch and the 13-inch touch bar? Do any of the others get the fourth? Because they never do that.
No.
Now you have the fourth gen on the those MacBook Pros. All the rest of the MacBook Pros are the second gen, and only the Air has the third gen or something, unless you bought the Vega one, which has third gen.
Yeah.
Like, just make a new keyboard that fucking works.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, it's a shame that they don't upgrade all of the laptops with the new keyboard.
like if you buy like the regular 13, it's still like what, Gen 2, I'm pretty sure, of the butterfly switches.
The one without the touch bar?
Yeah, the one without the touch bar.
Yeah, I think it's Gen 2, and then Gen 3 was the Vega update.
That's also their bread and butter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is that it's the base model MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
I almost guarantee is like their number one Mac seller, period.
Yeah. Actually, I agree with you, but I do wonder what the numbers are. Let's find out. See if I can find it.
I mean, I'm sure like there's.
I would assume it would be the 13-inch MacBook Pro. I think that would be the best
I think
seller.
It's the 13-inch Mac. The Air might be making a come-upping, and I'm thinking if you go to the high-end model, that'll be up there too. But I'm just basing that off of like.
Oh, they don't do sales. Forgot.
No, they don't. Yeah. No, but I just mean like, okay, back when we went to school, and I'm pretty sure it's still kind of the same thing. Like, okay, you're gonna go to college. Every single college is like, yeah, we recommend the base model MacBook Pro or the MacBook Air.
Or the Air,
like,
yeah.
It's like, but then once the Air started dying out until they refreshed it, which I've learned a lot of new things about the MacBook Air, and I'm not as happy on it as I used to be. But dude, that was like, if you're going to college, that's the laptop everybody bought. Yeah. If they could afford it, basically.
It's what I started my first videos on, was Kate's 13-inch MacBook Pro that she spent $1,000 on her school credit line to buy.
Yeah, like
it's a great laptop.
Oh, it is, but it's like that's the one that needs the update of the keyboard.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, if we look at the actual specs of the new 13-inch MacBook Pro, just so we can give the actual data.
And then if you do the touch bar, now it's like, okay, now I have to recommend the touch bar, which I never want to recommend the touch bar because it's just a scam.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a scam, but it's just like, who actually uses the touch bar? I'm like genuinely curious about that, because like for video editing, I can see it a little bit, but like mostly
don't use it in video editing
That's
either.
what I figured. Yeah, it's like, what, you can use their high-speed scrubbing thing that works only half the time, and put an emoji on it. Like, what's the point?
That is what is the best use for it. I will admit, for emojis, it's
like,
fucking
it's an emoji bar.
Perfect, but it's an emoji bar. Because you don't look at the fucking keyboard. When you're using a keyboard, you don't look at it. And that's why, like, the screens on the keyboard, the screens on the trackpad are so dumb, because you do not look at the fucking, you don't look at that area when you're using a Mac or when you're using a laptop. So it just makes no sense. But nonetheless, it's there. And on the 13-inch, you're getting the 8th gen i5, which goes up to 4.1, and then you can upgrade for $300 to get the i7 quad core, which goes up to 4.7. You can fit it out with 16 gigs of RAM. Baseline is 512 gigabytes of storage. So it's a pretty good 13. It's probably one of the better 13-inch laptops you can get, but it's $2,000. You know, you are
like,
paying
that's
for
the
that
issue.
Apple tax.
And it's that, but it's also it to me. I'm salty because I want a good 13-inch MacBook Pro again. Like, that's what I really, really want. And then it's just like, okay, you're gonna update them, but you're actually not gonna update them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm salty.
I mean, the only thing I would really want from it is maybe better cooling and then like a dedicated GPU, maybe like a equivalent to a 1050 Ti or whatever.
That would all be cool, but it's like even outside of that, it's just like, if you're gonna bump up the rest of them to 9th gen, just bump them all up to 9th gen.
Yeah, I wonder
Like,
why they didn't do that. I wonder if it's thermal issues. They couldn't cool it enough.
It's the 9th gen's a little bit even better thermal performance wise than the 8th gen.
Yeah.
like the only reason why I can think of is they just still have too many of them in stock. Like,
yeah, maybe. And then, of course, on the 15-inch side, you can go 9th gen i9, which is like Mac's first 8-core laptop, which is dope. You can get 32 gigs of RAM, DDR4 RAM. You can get the Vega 20. I mean, it is a powerhouse. If you spec it out and you choose the 1 terabyte option, you're spending over $4,000 for it. But I mean, for the size and for what you get, the power that you get, it's pretty much unrivaled unless you go, you know, Windows side, you go with like a maxed out Razer. And even then, I wouldn't even say the build quality is up to par.
Build quality, I don't know. Like, I think they're both good enough. I think it depends on what type of build quality you want.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the Razer stuff you can still like pseudo repair if it breaks, which you can't do with Mac, but like the aluminum chassis is really nice.
Imagine this. Imagine a MacBook, but with the fucking Razer's vapor chamber cooler. That would be sick.
Because that was going to be my point is like, well, yeah, Razer actually finally figured out how to do laptop cooling, and their new 17-inch and 15 inches are actually really good.
Yeah.
I worry about the 8-core. The same thing I had worried about with the 6-core when they put a 45-watt part in it. It's the same thing where it's like, it could be really cool, but just make it a little bit thicker and actually cool it properly so I don't have to like come up with a ridiculous cooling solution or run my chip at max when I want to use that power. That's my issue with the Air at the moment. I found out, and I didn't know this, so they put a fan in the Air, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fan in the body. The actual CPU is still just a block of metal. There's no cooler on the CPU.
Oh, it's just probably like what, passively cooled?
Yeah, everything's passively cooled. They just stuck a little fan in it that spins up and like kind of blows a little bit of air in it.
Dude, at least they put a fan in it. I wasn't even expecting that.
Yeah, like it's.
I'll tell you what.
And that's why I've leaned completely to the MacBook Pro at this point. MacBook Pro
I would still do MacBook Pro. I'll be right back, by the way.
All right, like it at least has a cooler on the CPU, but it's mostly the screen. The screen on the MacBook Pro versus the MacBook Air is a huge difference.
I have no idea what any of you all are talking about.
Yeah, we decided to start with tech because
that's fine.
Wayne even went without me and was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I had the issue that I have with Zoom every once in a while where it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I understand that. I just have an issue where my life doesn't work, so.
I think we all have that issue.
Kind of like yesterday, but we'll see. Or 2 days ago.
All right, so I got the Bridge, what's it called? Keyboard case for the iPad Pro. This is exactly what I want, dude. I've been using this nonstop. This is where Apple needs to take all of their stuff. This is so fucking dope.
Fix iOS, and I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Yep. I'm very curious to see what iOS 13 does, but I'm legitimately impressed with. I mean, they might as well just buy Bridge because it works beautifully. Figuring out some way.
Nope. Bridge makes the best. Like, if you want that style of keyboard, it's the best keyboard.
It's so good.
That's why I can't my girlfriend bought an iPad Pro and she bought that stupid fucking keyboard I hate. And you bought that stupid keyboard I hate. And everyone just buys that stupid keyboard. The Bridge is cheaper and it's way better.
Yeah, but you don't get it for fucking 6 months. That's the biggest problem with Bridge. They take forever to get your products. And I was the first line pre-order, and I didn't get mine until a couple weeks ago. I mean, literally ordered it in December. So Apple needs to go to Bridge and say, look, we'll pay you whatever you want. Come work for us. You make the fucking aftermarket keyboards for us. Fix iOS to make it more like Mac OS blended with iOS somehow, whatever their marzipan thing is doing. And that is where Apple needs to go, because using this is just so great, because it just having that like laptop feel just adds a different level of usability to the iPad, where it makes it really feel like a laptop. And using it in a fluid manner by touching it and using the keyboard. It's funny too, because sometimes I'll use this and I'll still put my hand down below to try to like use like a mouse thing when it's not there, and I still do that to this day.
No, they just need to make a hybrid, which they will never do.
Oh man, that's what I want so bad. Mac has to go that way if they really want to like kill it. It's like the perfect device. Because if imagine that almost like the Surface style, and then just put some like really good parts in it, like put like the 6-core chip in there, put 32 gigs of RAM.
You don't have to use that. Like, you keep working on ARM, because that's by far.
Or yeah, whatever their ARM chip is.
That's honestly by far good enough, especially for a laptop or like a mobile solution like that. The thing is, like, dude, just go to Google and literally rip off the slate. Make the Apple slate. That's what I want. That's what I need. Like, make it a computer that's just 2 pieces.
Yeah. No, it's literally, ever since I put it in there, I was like, this is pretty cool. And then I can't stop using it. Like, I'll think about taking my laptop out, and I was like, I could just do it on an iPad. And like the way that it just kind of folds into itself, and then you can use it in tablet mode, or you could just pop it out if you want to like lay back and watch a movie. You don't have this heavy thing. It's awesome, man. That's where Apple needs to go. Keep building the MacBook Pro, but make it a super pro-centered machine, because your sales are low on it anyway. They don't touch any of the sales of the other products. So just make it for those consumers who want like super amount of power, good cooling, tons of ports on it. Make it a little bit thicker, and then just focus all the smaller end stuff on your mobile systems and your ARM systems.
Yeah, but it's also like, that's what I was hoping they'd do, even though I knew they wouldn't, once they released the Air. Like, the Air is the Air is the every person laptop. It's a great, perfect laptop for that.
And imagine if you could flip the screen out and use it as a tablet,
That would be sick too. But I just mean, like, just make the Pro model again. Like, actually make it what a lot of us professionals want out of it.
Well, as a creative professional, it works great. But that's about it. I can't speak for like development, and I can't speak for like architecture.
It's still fantastic for that. It's just one of those things where it's like, but it could be so much better.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, no, seriously, like, I don't need it to be that. I don't need it to be. It's as thin as the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro are like the same size.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that thin. You can make it a little bit larger. I don't care about that. If it comes with a little bit extra ports and better cooling, that's more important to me than it being as minuscule as possible.
Yeah, at least until you figure it out, at least until you figure out a better way to do it, because right now it's obviously overheating. Everyone has to undervolt their chips, or everyone is figuring out different ways to try to get the most performance out of it. And obviously the keyboard is a big issue that they don't want to seem to fix. Maybe they're just trying to kill it, and they are moving towards this sort of future, and they're just like, let's just keep incremental upgrading it until basically everyone's sick of this product, and then we'll hit them with the fucking iPad hybrid. Who knows? I'm very curious to see what Apple does at WWDC. I want to see what iOS 13 has to bring. Hopefully, we're hearing good things about iOS 13, so hopefully it's the answer to a lot of that stuff. Shout out to Nick Gonzo with the Jerry emote, slamming it up there. Thank you, Gonzo. All right. Let's get into some gaming, and then we'll finish back to tech. I haven't been playing anything new. Have you guys? I don't think anything new has come out.
I haven't played it yet, but I did buy Yakuza Kiwami 2 on PC.
Oh, right. That did come out.
Yeah. So I picked it up. I find it interesting that it's $30 on Steam. I can get it for $30 physically. If I want to buy it on the PlayStation Store, it's still $50.
Really?
Yeah. So don't bother buying it digitally on the PS4. Get it for the Steam.
You can literally run that on your fucking phone. It's not a hard game to run either. And I still have to beat the first one, but it's so fun, dude. It's such a good game.
Yeah, the second one doesn't have the 4 different fighting styles. You're pretty much limited to one fighting style, but they do it. But they do it very well, apparently.
Okay.
And it's still probably. I think from the reviews I was reading, it's the best. It's the best story in any of the games.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, they're essentially like almost like Japanese soap opera, but with like the mafia.
Yeah.
The Japanese mafia, and just some really, really good gameplay.
You play it for the story. The story is just so wacky and funny and just interesting at the same time.
I don't know how far in the first game you are, but Majima is like my favorite character.
Yeah.
Some of the fights you have against him are just laugh out loud hysterical.
I highly recommend it's such a hidden gem. Play it now before it becomes too dated. Because it really is a gem.
When it was the PlayStation 4 Plus game and it was the free game of the month, like everyone should have got it then because it was so good.
It really is. It's super, and it's like a funnier, better Shenmue. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Because I loved Shenmue back in the day.
Shenmue, it's got like 600 mini games.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. With just like better fighting and a better story, and it's more adult. There's a lot more adult-centered humor around it. Okay,
yes, I picked that up.
I gotta pick that up too.
Other than that, just been practicing Smash and.
What are you doing? A tournament?
I've just been practicing. There's like a small tournament I'm doing coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah.
But I'm just been playing people that are so much better than me.
Yeah, there's a lot of good motherfuckers out there.
I played Shindo for like a good couple hours last night, and I was getting I was on the better end of him, but his friend who joined in was bodying me.
Yeah. What does he play?
Wii Fit Trainer.
Yeah.
Shindo plays Wolf.
Just dances around the fucking edge.
Dances around the edge, throws the fucking volleyball.
Yeah, they're the most annoying players.
So annoying. I mean, by the end of the night,
and them and Crom players.
By the end of the night before I quit, I was like getting it to like where we were both on last stock. It was like I was getting them up to like 70-80%. I just couldn't get the kill.
What were you playing?
Switching between the three, my best character against his Wii Fit was my Joker. Then I was playing some Cloud and some Roy and a little bit of Captain Falcon.
You like those heavy hitters?
Definitely Joker's been my main focus.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I played a bunch of Jokers recently.
Joker's fun, but you just gotta pick your spots, and if you don't have arson, you're not killing.
That's the problem with Joker. I tried telling you, dude.
It's really,
he's got a very terrible kill.
Depending on your opponent's play style, you can easily get arson back.
Yeah.
Like
any sort of sword fighter, you can just bait him in.
Wolf, he loves to throw out the blaster repeatedly. So I'll just sit there and let him do it because I'll just charge up and get arson immediately.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to give me free arson, I'll take it.
Cool. Jerry, have you been playing anything new?
Yes. City Skylines just came out with a new DLC today, which is university. It's campus. It's called Campus. Basically, you just get to add like a ton of universities and stuff to your cities. If you like City Skylines, it's fucking great. I love it. I'm very happy with it because it's really in depth, like the industries, basically. So you get to make a lot of cool buildings and add them. There's multiple different things. Like you can make a generic European university. You can make a liberal arts college. You can do trade schools, and you can like specialize the trade schools and the things that you find in research. You can then go put in museums and stuff, which is kind of cool.
That's cool.
So if you like cities, it's cool. It's $13. Like it's pretty great for that. If you wanted to like, especially ever since Park Life came out, what me and a lot of people do is they used to just have plantable universities, and you just plant it and then you'd build a park around it to try to make like a campus type feel. But now you can combine all of those and like actually make a proper college campus. But it also fixes some issues that the games had since they came out with the industries, which was the last big update, which made like you could make a lot of cool like industry type things, like you make farms and this or that, and you can make everything more detailed there. But the way the game works, it doesn't. The way education works in the game was finicky. So like as you educate your citizens, they just won't work those industry jobs. So now you have all these cool looking farms that are like going into decay because no one will work them because you actually built schools and colleges and they just want to work in offices. But now there's with this update, like there's other new policies and things like that where you can make all of those jobs require like a form of education and stuff like that, and like be able to have an actual industry sector and an education sector. Like it fixes a lot of those balance issues with the how educated your citizens are basically.
I have a question. So with the DLC, does that mean like whatever city you built, there's now a university thing that you can add to your city, or is it just separately a city builder or an education university builder?
Nope, it's you add it to cities you already had. You can go make new cities. With the DLCs, there's always like 4 more maps. So there's also new maps to go build new ones, but you can also just load up old saves and just add that to those old saves. The only thing that might make an issue there is depending on how crazy you go with mods, basically. Because you can go insane with this game with mods to the point I think it was Science Studio. Not like the biggest fan of that dude, but he ended up making a video about City Skylines recently because he just found a mod that basically the way the game renders everything is the farther away you are, the less detail it will render. And all this mod does is make it so you can basically set max render distances for everything. So he was just using that to show like, yep, here's my computer with like a 2080 Ti and a 9900K like overclocked to the max. And I can get 1 frame every 20 seconds in my city. So like you can go insane with some of those.
I was going to literally ask you a good RTS to get the other day because I was craving it and I was looking at cities. I think I might.
Cities is awesome if you want a sim like that. I wouldn't say it's like an RTS, but like for like a sim city builder, like it's everything you actually wanted out of Sim City or like a lot of those roller coaster tycoon type games, things like that. Like it's got a lot.
I love that shit. I was just playing Roller Coaster Tycoon on the phone because they just made a mobile app, and I was like, maybe I'll get like one of those type of games on the computer. They can actually play it.
If you haven't gotten into it yet, I would suggest looking around for sales because if you get into this game, the vanilla game's great. And that's all you can get on the Switch, for example, because the Switch version you can get, and that's pretty okay. It's a good port. It's just, I mean, if you can't run some of these cities with a 2080 Ti and a 9900K, you're not gonna run it with the Switch, basically.
No, I plan on playing with like a mouse and keyboard anyway.
Yeah, and that's a better way. But I would say wait for some sales because the base game's $30, totally worth it. But like if you do really get into it, it's Paradox, so you're gonna want
tons of different.
You're gonna want like the 20 DLCs they have by now.
Yeah. Damn, man, it looks so fun.
I would totally at least pick up the base game, and also like Humble Bundle puts it on sale a lot. It's on.
I mean,
sale.
say I get the base game and I start building my city, I can always just download a DLC later and then just play it from there, right?
Yeah, you can. They do a really good job of the DLCs. You can just add it even if you already started your city. The other thing I want to point out is in Thursday, new Total War game comes out on Thursday.
Yeah, the Attila the Hun one, right? No, or is it like Samurais or something? China.
Three Kingdoms. It's like the Romance of the Three Kingdoms period. So it's all set in China, which is a very new theme for Total War, and that looks. Honestly,
I thought it looked awesome.
It looks a lot better than I thought because this game was supposed to come out about 2, maybe 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Originally, and I think they were planning for a month last month, but then 2 or 3 months ago they announced they're going to push it back even more, and because they did send out like beta review copies to like Total War YouTubers, and like there were some definite issues. Like it was one of those things where a lot of the ideas they had putting into that game from a Total War standpoint were really good ideas. The execution wasn't there. And watching what's actually coming out Thursday, I'm a lot more interested in. Like it looks like they did take that time to go and polish that execution and actually make it work a lot better and how you'd expect for a Total War game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually super interested and excited for that.
Yeah, that one looked. I was looking at that one as well, because I haven't played any of the Total War games.
If you want more of an RTS style, I would go get that. Like
Okay.
if you're thinking like map, it's mostly a map painting game, but like that does have strategy elements of like commanding troops and stuff like that, and it's more like an RTS. If you want the tycoon SimCity game, go get City Skylines.
I think I'm gonna start with Cities, because I've always wanted to play, because I love tycoon games, and I kind of want to check this one out.
Dude, I love it.
I see you playing it all the time.
Yeah. I don't know how many hours I have in it.
How many do you think you have?
At least 500.
Yeah, that's good.
I
think I have like 300 hours of fucking Smash. I play a lot of Smash, I realized.
Yeah. The other thing that World of Warcraft Classic has a release date. I'm a happy boy.
And there goes another 500 hours.
Keep going up, bud. I dropped out of school once for this. I'll do it again.
No, don't. Please don't.
No,
it's not worth it.
No, my buddy in college, like specifically, like
you guys are addicted.
He had a hardcore WoW addiction to the point where like he removed a computer out of his house.
Maybe instead of loot boxes, they should go more in regulating like how long you can play WoW. That seems like a bigger issue.
No, but that's why I'm excited, is because seeing the beta, and I have played like a little bit of some of the beta, things like that. God, I miss that game. It's just that if you want to make a game that actually has people coming back and paying money, they did it with that. It's a great game. It hooks you in. It's super addictive. You'll keep paying the sub fee or whatever. Like the original couple of versions of that game were fantastic, and you don't need fucking loot boxes. There's no pet shops.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a hard game. I'm excited. And even with Blizzard being weird and doing as bad as they've done lately, I'm really hoping they're turning a new leaf, because I'm excited for this game. I want it to be out now.
Can you pet the dog in WoW Classic?
I don't think not with an animation. Nope.
It's just like a text box saying you pet the dog.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And no, it's there's a lot. The community in it is just gonna be fun. It's a hard game, but it's addicting, and because they're it's more of an RPG than the current game is. Like it's an actual RPG based. You gotta put in effort to find specific gear that has certain resists, or does this or that, or everything's super time consuming, which it's the ultimate carrot on the stick, because of how difficult some of those things are. The reward is a lot better.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
I mean, it's been a while since I played an MMO, and I've missed it. It's a game experience that you just can't get in anything else. Just the amount of hours you sink into an EverQuest or a Dark Age of Camelot, and then wow, it's just crazy.
I'm very excited. I'm a very happy.
Are you gonna actually role play it?
No.
You're not gonna dress up as your character when you play?
No.
Come on, you gotta do it all the way, man.
No, dude, I already have my exact leveling routes planned, including characters, everything. Yeah, nah. Because, dude, I do mythic raiding in WoW. I'm good at the game, but I care more about vanilla WoW than the current game by far at this point.
Yeah.
The current game is just gambling. It's just gambling.
All right, let's get into news. So FaZe Clan, if you don't know, is an eSports team consisting of many different personalities, I guess. And Teef, one of the top streamers on Twitch, I guess he's the top Fortnite player. I don't know if that's true anymore. Who fucking cares? But he was part of FaZe Clan, and now he's essentially suing them and claiming a bunch of stuff. And I thought this was interesting because it seems as if for what he's suing them for seems legitimate. And the way that FaZe Clan, because they're so personality heavy and they have to keep a good public image, and FaZe Banks is like everyone's friend, and they have to keep like this squeaky clean image. They defended. They're defending these. They're defending like who they are and what they did to Teef in a very way that kind of circumvents the exact things that they're getting sued for, which I thought was super interesting.
But I mean, yeah, I've never liked FaZe, to be honest.
I mean, I don't even know who they are. I just know it's like a fucking clan of dudes who are on YouTube. That's real. Do they play like Call of Duty?
Yeah,
is that where they came from?
It was Call of Duty quick scopes and trick shots, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Then they became like an esports Call of Duty thing while that was a thing. But
and now they're like a Team 10 thing where they're like a YouTuber team.
Yeah, basically they were like the first Team 10 basically.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like that was their missions, and Optic kind of went down that route too. And some of their people are kind of interesting, and most of them are like,
it's the best way to definitely make money if you're one of them, you know.
Oh yeah, no, but then it's like FaZe Banks, like, is he clean yet? Because I think like 3 or 4 years ago, he basically relapsed doing a shit ton of coke and was just like gone for forever. Like that's FaZe in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And that's the guy who owns FaZe and is getting sued. Like,
well, he says they put out
who also stole money from his other business partners at FaZe to fund his cocaine ring.
So they put out a response after they heard about these allegations and it started making headlines. They put out a response. We're shocked and disappointed to see the news of Teef's press article and lawsuit. Over the course of our partnership with him, which began in April 2018. So it's not been that long. FaZe Clan has collected $0 in tournament winnings, $0 in Twitch revenue, $0 in YouTube revenue, and $0, from any social platform. In fact, we have only collected a total of $60,000 from our partnership, while Teef has earned millions as a member of FaZe Clan. While contracts are different with each player, all of them, including Teef's, have a maximum of 20% to FaZe Clan in both tournament winnings as well as content revenue, with 80% to the player. In Turner's case, neither of those have been collected by FaZe Clan. We're proud of what we accomplished together over the past year with Turner, and we'll continue to support him. So, I mean, you see that and you're like, okay, it looks like he's going after FaZe Clan, with these unfounded allegations. So,
okay,
but then you read a little bit deeper into the thing, and then you find out he has to sue them. Basically, I'm sure his agent or his lawyer is like, look, they're taking a lot of money from these brand deals, because that's essentially what it's coming from.
Oh yeah, no, that's why those are all weird and kind of scummy. Is a lot of the esports teams, and especially on the YouTube side and things like that, you basically sell your image rights.
Yeah.
Like they have your image rights entirely. So branding anything, this or that, like it's kind of weird and scummy.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
I just want to also point out, do you know who else lives in the FaZe house?
No. Oh, fucking Rice Gum.
Exactly.
Rice Gum, the diss track guy. Is he still doing his thing?
Fuck if I know.
I support him just because he's an Asian man in a white man's world. The details of Rod Breslaw says the details of Teef's lawsuit and FaZe's official statement do not contradict each other. The 80% figure was for only brand deals, not streaming YouTube prize winnings, and the suit itself focuses on more than this and the legality of these contracts in general in California. What's not taken into account are the brand deals that Teef had lined up with himself but were rejected by FaZe, one of which was noted in the court filings due to conflicts of interest with FaZe's own sponsors. So essentially, he wasn't able to pick up certain sponsors because it would be in conflict with the team sponsor. So a good example of this that someone in the comments wrote.
That's a big esports thing.
Yeah, and that's exactly why he's suing, because he thinks, I'm sure his lawyers think that this is a a lawsuit that can be held that basically said this contract needs to be invalid because it's not fair. It's just not how this contract is supposed to work.
That would completely change esports.
Yeah.
Because like almost every esports player has to give up
Take
a
the
lot
sponsors from the whole
Right.
team.
Right. And like getting your own brand sponsors is usually really hard. And it's things like, oh, well, Steel Series wants to sponsor me, but the team's sponsored by Logitech. So I have to use
Exactly.
Logitech, or I can use.
And
Steel
you can't take
Series-
any other sponsors also
Right.
because not only that, but they're also going to take 80% from that sponsorship deal
Right.
as the
No,
contract.
that's how esports in general gets funded at the moment.
Yeah.
Literally, it's all that sponsorship money. So that's going to set a huge precedent.
And then in the comments, you see someone writes, isn't that any company though? Is there any lawyers that can explain that? I thought companies can obviously not allow them if it conflicts with current sponsors. And then someone else writes, the conflict is that an agent has a fiduciary duty to the talent to act in their best interests. It's the law. When an organization imposes themselves as a player agent, they cannot do that job properly because of conflict of interest. The only one that wins in that situation is the organization. And then someone else writes, if you're sponsored by Coke, you can't be sponsored by Pepsi. Isn't that how it works? If Logitech hits up Tfue to do a deal, but Tfue is signed under FaZe, which is sponsored by SteelSeries, they should decline it. And then Manoush writes, yes, but it's the team that's sponsored by Coke, not the player. The player doesn't see proceeds from that, or very little. Would you make the same argument for LeBron James or Kobe Bryant? Would it be fair for the players to be used as marketing tools for the team to profit? And then someone else writes, Messi is sponsored by Adidas, while Barcelona has Nike as a sponsor. Esports shouldn't be different. And that's essentially what they're fighting under. So because he doesn't see any proceeds of that, and because he's suing FaZe Clan by saying this is my agent, so they essentially need to act in the best interest of me, not in the best interest of the organization, in the best interest of me specifically. If they want to act in the best interest of their organization, they need to be required to register as such, which they're not. They're not registered as an agency that way.
That's not surprising.
Right. So he's basically suing under that, saying, I want all the money from those brand deals that you took the 80% from, and I'm going to cut my deal. I want to get out of this deal as quick as possible. I'm making all these brand deals. I want to set up whatever brands that I want, and I don't need you. So it's a little bit of a selfish suit as well, but it's definitely an interesting suit because of how FaZe Clan is like this, we're everyone's friend. Everyone likes FaZe Clan. And then the biggest name in fucking Fortnite comes out and is like, look, I'm suing the fuck out of these guys that took all my money.
And don't paint this. Tfue's not a saint.
I literally I've never watched one thing of his. So he could probably be a huge dickhead, but I don't know.
He's a very good player, but let's just say he's got multiple Twitch bans for things similar to PewDiePie.
Okay, all right then.
But at the same time, like all of FaZe is like, it's why I've never liked FaZe. A lot of their dealings in the past are like shady at best.
Let me ask you guys, do you think that if you sign to a team that they have to work in the best interest of you, or do they have to work in the best interest of the team?
Depends on the type of team and how they're structured.
So say it's like an esports team, like a Call of Duty team.
Right, and if they're organized and structured as such as a team I am just playing for, and like that's how it comes up on their tax sheets, you know what I mean? Then I would think they should do what's in their best interest. I'm just a player for them. They can cut me or et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to like the YouTube type things where it's more agents, yeah, that's harder. Because even esports, a lot of esports teams do have like a dual citizenship, not citizenship, but like that's the best word I can think of, where they have their team and they have the organization of the team, and then they have a side agency which is just branding deals with streamers and things like that, where I think they work more in that agent sense. So how those two are broken up will also be interesting to see, and I think that goes down more on a team by team basis of if they're being legal or not, basically, because there's a lot of really scummy, shitty esports organizations out in the world.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a pretty new industry, so it's run by a lot of young kids.
Yeah,
probably know nothing.
it's a lot like vaping. Like
Yeah.
half of these companies won't even pay their players and like stuff like that.
I
It's
bet they
gotten a
didn't
lot
even know
better.
what this lawsuit was when they saw it. They were probably like,
No,
wait,
yeah.
we didn't take any money from him except for the brand deals. And then he's
Yeah.
like, wait, legally, you need to work in the best interest of him because you signed him as an agent.
Right. So like that it at the same time FaZe Clan was one of those groups during the whole CS:GO gambling scandals that like never got completely outed, but there were a lot of really heavy links that they owned the website that they all gambled on.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So like they're just in it for the money. They don't give a shit,
Yeah.
which is fine, but do it legally.
Yeah. I mean, even if you do it illegally, it's fine. But if someone comes to sue you, we're going to have to talk about it and laugh at you. All right. PlayStation 5 blazingly fast load times showcased in their official video over here on their Twitter by Takashi Mochizuki. And they basically show you the load times. I don't know how well you can see it on the screen.
I watched this earlier, actually.
Yeah. So they show the load times compared to a PS4 Pro, and it is significant. It is a significant load.
So they probably are actually using an SSD, and now I'm more believing it'll cost 500 or plus.
Oh no, they're totally using an SSD.
Yeah, it's probably just an M.2 or some sort of like Optane-based SSD.
It could be Optane. I don't know about M.2. I guess pricing's come down that they could throw an M.2 in there for like M.2 is pretty much if you're just using
Maybe
like,
some sort of hybrid.
Well, I wouldn't say hybrid, but it's like I was gonna say M.2 pricing's gone down a lot too, where it's very close to regular SATA SSDs for this more SATA based NVMe's, or if you're getting like a lower performance NVMe drive, it's not that much more than a SATA drive at this point. Now,
Yeah.
if you're going to use like a really good NVMe, that's when the price goes up. But
This,
yeah, no, that
this
looks
loads in
fast. That's an
zero.
SSD.
This loads in 0.83 seconds, and the PS4 Pro loads in 8 seconds. So it's a considerable difference.
Yeah, no,
which is
that's
great.
That's like you just put an SSD into a platform that never had one.
Yeah, and you're probably gonna get realistically like 1.5 seconds like real time load times, which is
Yeah,
good. Which is good.
A lot better. Well, welcome to the future where we've been at for like 10 years with PCs.
Yeah.
It's kind of really nice.
All right.
No, it wouldn't be an Optane thing. I don't think they're going to be using an Optane caching system. They could use a hybrid drive.
That's something. Maybe
caching.
like cache some sort of M.2 and then have the bulk of it on some sort of SSD.
Yeah, it's not going to be like an Optane.
Not
shit.
specifically Optane, right? It's just because it's an AMD based system, but
Right.
something
but like
similar
there
to
could
the
be
sort.
like those old like the Seagate Fire CUDAs that were kind of like the idea of the Mac hybrid drive, like those kinds of really shitty hard drives that's a terabyte hard drive and like a gig of SSD cache.
Yeah.
It could be that, but that kind of speed I'm thinking is just an SSD.
Yeah.
Like straight up.
All right. So one of the big stories that came out is Sony is partnering with Microsoft to explore joint development of cloud-based Azure-powered solutions for gaming and AI. So this is something that we kind of discussed a while ago. That
Basically,
Sony's best way to join cloud is you either go Amazon or you go Microsoft, and they went with Microsoft, and they're going to team up with their Azure system to
You
do
go
this
one of the
cloud-based
three.
system.
I mean, Microsoft makes more sense since they're specifically developing it for use with gaming as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, or part of Azure is, yeah. No, like it's Azure makes a lot of sense. I'm not surprised by this because Sony's doesn't do cloud. And
No.
they just don't. It's like, okay, if you want to do cloud stuff realistically at the scale we're talking about, you're going with Amazon, Microsoft, or Google. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of their big competitors would be both Microsoft and Google. So I guess they see Google more as a threat to team up with Azure. It's probably Azure probably is like, look, we have this whole infrastructure already built, all ready to go. We're already playing with Nintendo with this. So let's just do a deal, cut our losses and
I
let's
don't.
Azure makes more sense for what they're doing with their cloud stuff is what a lot of it comes down to. Because a lot of the Google cloud stuff's really good, but a lot of that's more focused towards container systems. and they're not doing a container system. They want to
Interesting.
run native code, basically.
As far as competition goes, I don't know what I don't know what their impact on the market in Japan is, but we all know that Microsoft has literally no influence in Japan.
That
So
too.
they Sony does not see them as a competitor in Japan. Since it's only one real market they're really competing with them in, which is North America and then Europe market as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Japan is of course probably one of the biggest markets, if not their most focal.
They probably focus on it more, but I would not say it's their biggest market.
No, not even close.
North America is a gigantic market.
Well, that in Europe, it's the Western world is bigger than Japan.
Yeah, Microsoft has a decent market in Europe. I don't know how big it is compared to Sony, but I do know that Microsoft has some popularity in Europe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Sony's the biggest for a reason. They're just they cater to everyone. They're everywhere. And to see them partner with Azure is going to be interesting. I really want to see what this next level of console streaming is going to be. I want to see it on my phone. Like I keep telling you guys, I want to be able to get shit off of 5G network on my phone, on the train. That's my goal, and I'm curious to see if this next generation is going to put a lot more of a focus on that. Because
my other question is, did Sony approach Microsoft, or did Microsoft approach Sony?
I think Sony approached Microsoft.
Sony, okay, because Microsoft has, and you see it with their partnerships with Nintendo and with other. They're not really concerned with. I don't want to say they're not concerned with competition, but they don't mind working with other companies. They're definitely open to really just working with people.
No, they are, because
Microsoft.
Microsoft.
Yeah. Well, it's because
Xbox sucks right now.
No, it's not even really that. It's more that their current CEO, Satya Nadella, if I remember right, he came in and he really changed Microsoft's main goal. Their main goal is Azure.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
It's been that for 5 years now.
Yeah, it's not the Xbox, it's not Windows, it's Azure. It's just Azure. That's their main focus. So hey, if you can get everyone under Azure, that's the main focus.
Which makes to me, hearing that too, makes what Amazon is doing even more impressive, because they were able to do both retail, shipping, and their cloud web services all at the same time and excel in all of those areas. And it's just so impressive what Amazon and Bezos has done. They're just taking over, and it's I don't know exactly what they're doing on the gaming side, but we can see Azure is probably way more geared for gaming, way more geared for fast sort of network interactions. And I'm excited to see exactly what this means and how this is going to work. Hopefully it's not just some stupid, browser based, you know what I mean, where it's just I want to see where it actually makes innovations in the code of the game. Imagine the code of the game, or the backbone of the game is basically what you install on your console, and then the textures and the models and all the other stuff that you can basically just spit right over to your console is held in the cloud, because then you can have terabyte sized games, but really only taking up a small portion of it on your console and just feeding all of that preliminary data to your console through the stream, which would be really interesting, rather than just having the game on another server and just spitting it over to you, because we've already had that, and I'm not that impressed right now. All right, next one, Nintendo is also looking up to team with Microsoft for streaming using Azure for their own systems. This has been confirmed.
Last I saw was a rumor, but it honestly, at this point, would not be a surprise. The two companies have been extremely close lately.
Yeah, it says they're looking to work with Microsoft, and it's up to really Microsoft.
They've experimented a little bit in Japan with trying some cloud stuff out with, I think, Resident Evil 7, and there was something else. I can't remember which game it was, but they were working with Capcom on trying to stream it to the Switch, because you're not going to get those games to run on the Switch right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair. And no, again, it makes sense. All gaming, honestly, if you're going to try to do cloud stuff, it should just go to Azure. Because a lot of game development's primarily focused on it's mostly C++.
I mean,
there's a lot of other languages.
Third party, just from a third party perspective, they would love it if it's one system.
Yeah.
They don't have to develop for 3 different cloud-based architectures.
Well, that's what Ubisoft just came out and said, that they were like, this whole console war thing is not going to be an issue pretty soon. It's just you develop for one system, you spit it to the cloud, and everyone gets it.
Yeah, and the point for me is it's all going to go to Microsoft because that's what makes sense. The majority of games coded is C++. C++ is literally a Microsoft language.
Mm-hmm.
It works best with Azure. It's all going to it just makes the most sense and is easiest to use with Azure.
And I'm curious to see what Stadia, you think Stadia is just going to be like another Google Allo or Google Hangouts where you see it for a year or two and then they're just like, man, we're done with that. Yeah, Google Glass.
Hey, there is a new Google Glass 2 out today, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
No, it's not releasing to consumers. It's just doing what Microsoft's doing with the HoloLens. It's just for your business. But like, no, they literally, that came out this week is Google Glass 2, basically.
Yep, here it
and
is.
It looks like glasses. It looks better.
They look like a pair of Oakleys with the Google Glass thing on it.
Yeah, like it doesn't look great, don't get me wrong, but like it at least looks like glasses and not this weird like
$24.99 Ray-Bans.
Yeah.
There you go. There's some images of the Google Glass too.
Funny you mentioned that. They literally just did that like 2 days ago, I think.
All right. Oh, actually, it looks like just a module that you snap on your glasses.
Okay, could be that. And honestly, that.
As I'm seeing different pairs of glasses here. Interesting. That would make more practical sense. All right. PlayStation Productions. PlayStation Productions is set to turn your top PS4 games into movies. Sony is opening a new movie studio exclusively focused on video game adaptations. Sony Entertainment has announced a new production studio called PlayStation Productions that will focus exclusively on adapting the company's hit video game franchises into TV shows and movies. The new production studio will be headed by PlayStation's former VP of Marketing, Asad Kazbalashbash, and overseen by PlayStation boss Sean Layden. According to Layden, a number of titles have already been in production through what he says that I don't know why it's worded this way. Though he says that the new studio won't follow a cadence for releasing those films like you've come to expect from, say, Marvel Studios. Are you guys excited to watch some PlayStation Productions?
I think it depends on what the exact productions are. Uncharted feels like a prime thing to do first.
Oh, absolutely. Or Last of Us.
Last of Us. But I really think think Uncharted, mainly because like Uncharted, like
it is a movie.
Just do it as it's already a movie. You just do it as an action adventure movie, almost like a less cheesy. What's the one where Nick Cage steals the Declaration?
Oh, fuck.
National Treasure.
National Treasure, yeah.
Yeah, you make it that same style though, like the action adventure heist movie. It works.
Yeah.
Like an Indiana Jones style movie, that would be fine. I mean the track record for video game adaptations is pretty bad. Detective Pikachu was good. But then again, like
that's not really a game adaptation though.
It sort of is. There was a Detective Pikachu video game.
Yeah.
It wasn't a one-for-one recreation of the game, and I don't expect these to be one-for-one recreations either. How do you put? It's a 20-hour game. You're going to put it into a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
But what it has to be done is it has to be done with the right amount of care for the IP.
Well, we have news of our first series that might be coming out. A Twisted Metal TV series could be released. And
I think that works better.
I am so excited for.
Do you remember Death Race?
Yeah.
Death Race 2000?
Yeah.
Make this as campy as possible.
Well, do you remember? Have you played Twisted Metal Black, like the story mode?
I didn't play Black. The last Twisted Metal I played was probably 3.
Twisted Metal Black had an excellent story mode. It was an arcade mode where you would just go through each character's story, but every story was just so dark and disturbing and fucked up and adult, and it was awesome. Like I don't want to spoil it because they're all good, but just go on YouTube if you want to watch them and check them out. I mean, you had some really fucked up stories, and I would love to see this as like a super adult sort of, carnage, car-based
It just
action drama.
It can't be serious though. It has to still be like over the top, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just you take that knob and you turn it to 11 or higher.
Yeah. I mean,
That's how this works.
What's his name? What's the clown's name?
Sweet
Tooth. Yeah,
Sweet
Tooth. His story was essentially how he was just this maniac killer, serial killer, and essentially he was punished. So they set his head on fire, and his goal was to, if you win the tournament, you can basically get a wish granted to you by this guy. And his wish, throughout the whole story you're playing, his wish is like he needs to get rid of the pain. It's just searing pain constantly in his head. And then at the end, he's basically just like, I enjoy killing too much. Fuck it. And it just goes off and just goes on like this rampage and just murders a bunch of children. And that was the end of that story. And those are the type of stories that I want from Twisted Metal.
It's like the Mortal Kombat. Like,
yeah, exactly like Mortal Kombat.
Like not the new ones. The new ones are like actually story based.
Yeah, I want some like dark, twisted, stupid shit.
I think like we've seen some properties be developed already. Like we saw the Ratchet and Clank movie, and wasn't good.
No,
it wasn't good.
Nope.
So I don't know. Like I mean,
I don't expect. I mean, Sony Pictures is a huge production company, so we'll see what they kind of produce. But
I mean, if they can get the same team that worked on something like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was just so handled with care. Everything was just on point with it. It was written great. You get that same team to do like a Spyro film or something like that, where they really can nail this, like just nail what makes Spyro, or Crash Bandicoot, or any of these like mascot characters. I think it could work.
Yeah.
I think Last of Us would work better as a TV series, honestly.
Yeah.
Even Uncharted might work better as a TV series than a movie.
Yeah. But then again, I also don't want them to dilute the games at all. Because I love Last of Us, and I can't wait for the second one. And if they were to come out with like some cheesy,
that's the thing. Is that
show,
one couldn't be cheesy. That would have to be a very well told drama.
Like expensive,
And
like,
I don't even think
like
they need
money.
to straight up adapt the game. They could set it in the world of Last of Us.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that.
Do an original story, maybe have some references to the events or characters, but set it in the world of Last of Us. Make it an extension of that world.
Yeah.
Do what for the Uncharted series, do what they did with like that side game with like the side chick.
Yeah, the one with with his wife.
It's an Uncharted game, but it's not. It doesn't have to be Nathan Drake.
Yeah. All right. I found this video, Grand Theft Auto 5 ray tracing. So essentially, what ray tracing does is realistically compute light in a scene. And obviously, NVIDIA's new RTX stuff enables real-time ray tracing. And someone was able to mod Grand Theft Auto 5 with real-time ray tracing global illumination. And man, it looks fucking good. So you can just see here, they show like before and afters. And it goes from basically what it looks like Grand Theft Auto 5 to just like, I mean, it just makes such a difference. And what I wanted to really point out is not exactly Grand Theft Auto 5 using it, but you can see how much of a difference ray tracing makes. So when I see people who rag on ray tracing because of how it was implemented on NVIDIA's RTX, I kind of get disappointed because it really is the next evolution of what graphics are going to enable. I mean, look at this scene here with the car. So essentially, go ahead.
This whole thing reminds me of the way they do like the before and after, where it just fills in this really nice lighting and everything, like the detail. It's like there's an AI program, and I can't remember like how it's. So what it does is like you could put in like PlayStation 1 just graphics into it, and it'll scan it and it'll start to recreate everything where it looks so much better. I don't know if I can find it, but there's a thing with Final Fantasy 9 on PC that uses a mod that uses this thing.
I wonder if it's like a super sampling technique.
Yeah,
look at that one with the car. It looks really good.
I think this is it. It's a deep learning AI to enhance images.
The deep learning super sampling?
Yeah.
The DLSS.
This, and I'll link the tweet to you.
Yeah, it essentially, what I'm assuming it does is it takes like a bunch of images from some sort of cloud system and a bunch of deep learning assets, and it takes the original image and then samples it in a way where it uses that computational data to scale it correctly.
Yeah. So this picture, if you look at this link I put in the Zoom, it's what the original PlayStation looked like, what the PC port looked like, and then what it looks like after this has been done to it.
Yeah.
And you just see like watching this ray tracing video reminds me of like this, where it's like,
yeah, that's essentially
how it looked, and then like here's just it looks so much better.
Yeah, this is essentially what it's doing is it's taking those textures in the background and just all the textures in the scene, and it's referencing it to this huge database that they have that is constantly learning by taking more and more images. That way it can scale it correctly. So I'm assuming, you know, this original sample was probably like a, 480p image. And then when you scale it up to a correct sort of 1080 or 4K image, it's going to address those pixels in the same manner. And it just looks so much better. And then with the Grand Theft Auto, and again, that's something that the new NVIDIA cards do as well, with the DLSS support that a lot of people had problems with. And then here with this, you can just see the way, because when light hits a scene, it doesn't just cast a light. It bounces off other things, which then cast light off of that, and it bounces off that, and it casts light on something else. And all that is being ray traced on the fly, and it just makes it look so much more realistic. I mean, this is probably the best example.
The effect of lighting on immersion, like, cannot be understated.
Right.
It is one of the most important things.
Yeah. And you can just see like this room scene is the best example of it. Like all of these lights on the ceiling, those are all programmed global illumination lights, and it lights the scene up, but it doesn't cast light through all of the different textures and materials. So when you add that in, that ray tracing technology, and it does that, oh man, it makes it look so much more real and makes it look really good. So that's what's cool, man. I love this nerdy type of stuff, because that's what's that next evolution, That's what we're gonna see move more and more forward.
Yeah, and you don't have to pay $1,200 for a RTX card.
Not yet. All right, Final Fantasy VII Remake leaks characters, combat, world map, episode length, potential PS4 demo coming after E3. You don't say?
So this was this was from a Reddit post, so it's just rumor, but this person then deleted it. But they've also apparently they've had a track record. But this game, we're getting 3 weeks to E3, I believe, about 3 weeks. And I've been questioning like how I feel about what they're gonna do after they get out of Midgar. Me and Jerry have talked about it. I've talked about it on the show, what that open world's gonna look like. So according to the leak, of course, anytime I say leak, I'm really talking rumor, and I'm talking rumor, I'm saying pinch of salt. Always pinch of salt. Halfway, 2 games. It's gonna be 2 games. Full $60 per game. Going up to the, I guess, it's not really end of disc 1. It's where Aerith dies, which is, I guess, if I'm thinking about story pacing, if you're going to split into 2 games, that's where I would end the first game. It's such a major story beat. Other than that, you've got, they said the Chocobos are coming back. The overworld's going to be seamless with like the towns. And I can't envision how that's going to work. I have to see it to believe it, especially when they say that like the tiny Bronco is coming back and it can only, transport over shallow water like it did in the first game, like in the original game. Well, how do you show that? Well, you've already seen Midgar as how it looks like gorgeous. How are you going to keep that immersion with an overworld? So I have to see it to believe it. Some of these things I do think make sense. The fact that Vincent and Yuffie, who are side characters, like they're optional characters in the original game, they're kind of ingrained into Final Fantasy VII at this point that they're going to be required characters. They'll probably expand upon their stories from the other games like Crisis Core, Advent Children, things like that. Let's see what else do we have in this. Though the cloud cross-dressing scene. That's been a kind of a point of contention. Like if they're going to take that out, if they're going to keep that in because of censorship issues.
Censorship with who?
To take a word from vanilla World of Warcraft, no changes.
No changes. That's what I'm saying.
No changes.
Apparently, they say that it will be in the game. You'll just get like a fade away to changing into the outfit, but that it will be Cloud wearing a dress and a wig. So people who were worried about that can be happy, I guess. The combat changes.
People are worried that it's in the game, or worried that it would be taken out?
That it won't be. That it'll be taken out.
Oh, okay.
Then we've got the combat. So I was watching, I saw the trailer, I looked at the combat, and there was,
that's what I like about the game.
Tying things together. We're like, how them breaks gonna work? How's magic gonna work? You see these ATB bars, like where it's 2 blue bars, and then you have like an attack button, and then you have.
Why are people so worried about how this game is being? Did they want like an actual 1-to-1 recreation?
Man, it's Final Fantasy VII for a lot of people.
No changes.
Not for me. I mean, I grew up with RPGs, but
do they just want Final Fantasy VII just with better graphics?
Pretty much.
That's so dumb.
Final Fantasy VII for a lot of people was like their first RPG, and it like holds this huge nostalgia boner for it. Like, I like the game. I think FF7 is a great game.
Yeah.
I don't think it aged very well.
No.
I still think it's one of the most important RPGs to come out.
I want basically give me the same story, better graphics, but I don't want to play that combat system. I'm done with it. I like the new Final Fantasy combat.
What I do like is that apparently that the triangle, which is a heavy, and what they were talking about is that your attacks are going to be small chain attacks, and then your real damage is going to come from your heavy attacks that end the combo, which makes sense for an action RPG. And then that's what that Punisher button is, like that triangle that says Punisher, and that changes depending on the weapon that Cloud has equipped or any character has equipped, and that the weapons will change out. You can see the materia in the weapons, which does keep with immersion. Because that was the whole thing, is that you would equip materia into your weapon and your armor. And apparently after E3, we could be getting a demo.
Yeah.
If they say that it'll be playable on the show floor. If it's playable on the show floor and we get a demo, I got to imagine this game is coming out 2019.
Welcome to the nostalgia party. I hope so. Or it'll be 2020 early.
Early 2020 could also definitely make sense. Like first quarter.
That's basically what they did with WoW. Was like they announced it, then you could play it there, and like if you bought their ticket for BlizzCon, you could like play a 10-hour at most like demo.
Mm-hmm.
What I see
happening another year to actually get to beta.
Yeah, what I see happening is if this is a 2019 or early 2020 title, they will release it, and then they're going to have it set up so that like when the PS5 comes out, this is still going to be like a game. It's going to be like, oh, look how it runs on PS4 and PS4 Pro. Look at how it runs on PS5.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll put the second game out on PS5. And they already said that the games will all be backwards compatible. The games they're making for PS5 will also be on PS4, at least for the beginning. Which they did the same thing with PS3 and PS4.
I'm pretty sure for most of the time, it's all going to be playable on both. It's just going to be shitty to play on both, but it's going to be playable on both for like all of.
They'll definitely talk up that loading time thing where it's like, do you want to play for a minute or do you want to play immediately?
Exactly, but like I don't see the PS5 like making a game that can't be played on the PS4 for a very long time till probably we're talking like 6 is coming out, because PS5 is a huge jump up, but they are similar enough that it's not going to break the game or anything like that. It's just going to run like shit, but you can still do it.
Oh yeah, you can still do it. You're just, going into it, you're getting the inferior product.
Yeah.
I think people are going to be disappointed with this.
What I'm hoping happens.
I think it's going to be like another Final Fantasy 15.
What I think you're going to
No
get
changes.
is they're going to release both games. If they do two, it'll be $60 each, and then at some point they'll release the combo pack for like $80.
Yeah, and who the fuck wants to buy that?
David,
and then eventually they'll go down to $20 anyway, and then you'll buy it.
I don't know. Square Enix games, you like still on the phone. They're fucking expensive. They feel like they never go on sale.
yeah,
Dude,
that's not.
They
Sony,
drop by like half price, but that's it.
I managed to get South Park on sale on the Switch.
Party.
Yeah, no, I got South Park on sale on the Switch. It happens sometimes.
It happens sometimes, but yeah, Sony games first party, yeah, they'll drop in price pretty frequently. Square,
They're always pretty
on the
pricey.
popularity of the game. FF15 got to the point where they just needed to make so much money off it because it was in development for so long that they were just giving it away for as cheap as they could really get it out just to sell more copies.
Yeah.
And then hit you with that DLC, and then hit you with that royalty upgrade, which gives you the final dungeon, even though if you bought the game day one, you didn't get the final dungeon completed because that was a fee to pay. So they essentially said, if you bought the game day one, fuck you. So Square can suck it.
I don't know. I mean, it's cool. Final Fantasy VII is pretty cool. I'm excited for it, but
It's
I
the
also
power of nostalgia,
don't see
man.
why there's so much fucking hype around this game.
It's the power of nostalgia.
It is the power of nostalgia, but it depends on how good the game is. Because like that's what I'm more worried about with Final Fantasy VII is like we've said, it hasn't aged the best.
Yeah.
Where it could go either way. It's not as surefire to me like WoW is. Because like WoW was just great and it's better than the current game.
Yeah, but that game also doesn't rely on like the same story. You know what I mean? It's more about like the actual gameplay and the connections. Where this is just like you kind of already know the story. You just want to see it prettier and a fun, a better
MMO
combat
versus a single player story.
No, true. Like I'm saying that's a bad comparison. Like I'm just trying to think of like.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
It will be harder to me versus like if you remastering Halo or like a game that like has stood that test of time that people still think is a great game even though it's so old. Where like Final Fantasy VII is a great game, but it's like
it's just not
RPG.
like a master. I
And
know what
that's
you
kind
mean.
of the thing
Yeah,
where
it's one of those things where it's like I'd rather this be Metal Gear Solid.
Yes. Yeah, I know
So,
what you
I mean,
mean.
it's also-
to
it's
me,
also
it's
like-
not. I mean, maybe to some others, it is that masterpiece. But
I also argue that Halo 1 has maybe it's just based on the first person. I don't know if I want to say stagnation, but like the first person genre hasn't super evolved over time. And
No.
that first
the
game
biggest innovation we got was a battle royale.
very well.
No, yeah,
Halo
like
1
that's
aged very well.
that's kind of what I mean too. Where like versus like RPG, where it's
Turn-based
It's
went
changed
the
a
way
lot.
of the dodo bird.
and it did, and it's came back a little bit with like
But
more
those-
CRPGs than like true turn.
I mean, Octopath Traveler has turn-based, but it's also a throwback to the old school.
yeah, but I think some
It's
of
also
them
a niche game.
they
Exactly.
are, but I
Very-
think I think that niche is coming back to an extent, if that makes sense. That's what I'm trying to argue.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
this
you-
isn't turn-based
I'm-
either.
I'm the king of niche games. That's like
Anime is getting popular.
exactly
Like
this-
I'm hyped. Like I agree with Jerry. Like I'm hyped for this game, but I also don't think that this is the kind of game where it necessarily really needs a remake. Like they
would say
should have
that-
got it right with Final Fantasy 15. That should have been the game that's put Final Fantasy back on the map.
I've got so many feelings about that fucking game. I'll give you a hint. None of them are good.
Okay, that's yeah.
Well,
fair.
what about the combat?
do-
Did you like the
I do-
combat? I
hope
thought
it-
the combat was good.
okay. Combat was okay.
It wasn't the best, but it was way better than a turn-based combat, I think.
Combat was okay. I thought summons were pretty terrible. It
Yeah.
was like, you're doing bad at the game. Let us save you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's not how summons that I remember and how I liked using them.
Well, have you guys seen AI Joe Rogan?
No, but they use that as a finisher.
G.I. Joe Rogan.
No,
Dude, yes.
G.I. Joe.
I'm down.
G.I. Joe
That's
Rogan.
great. It's just G.I. Joe on mushrooms.
So this was posted by Joe
Got
Rogan.
all the DMT.
This is posted by Joe Rogan on his Instagram, and I
and
watched the
tripping
video.
is half the battle.
And it's a fucking insane. So it's essentially this company, Real Talk, and they basically do like this machine learning type stuff.
It's like super deep fake, actually done well.
Yeah, and they take because he has just so much hours of his voice online that they were just like, he's the perfect example of someone that we can use for this. So they took all of that data, input it in this machine, and it basically can make him say anything that they want with almost 100% accuracy. And I'm gonna place a clip of it here so you guys can get an understanding of how close it is.
Friends, I've got something new to tell all of you. I've decided to sponsor a hockey team made up entirely of chimps. I'm tired of people telling me that chimps are not capable of kicking human ass in sports. Chimps are just superior athletes. And these chimps have been working out hard. They're throwing kettlebells, battle ropes, everything. I've got them on a strict diet of bone broth and elk meat. These chimps will rip your balls off. God damn, it's impressive. All I got to say is, see you on the ice, folks. Pickled peppers. Just now, check this out. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? She sells seashells on the seashore. The shells she sells are seashells, I'm sure. Also, since my brain is connected to the internet, I've become a medical expert. Did you know that basilar membrane and otolaryngology are not autocorrelations?
Yeah, it's pretty fucking insane. And this is Adobe was working on a project that kind of had something similar where you fed it some data and you can essentially create any sort of, you can create it where anyone can say anything that you want, and then you take that data with a lot of the deepfake stuff, like with what the fakening is doing, and you basically can create AI people and have them say whatever you want and put their face on a person and have them do whatever you want. And that's getting pretty scary because there's a lot of good that can come with that, but there's also a ton of terrible things that can come of that.
Fair. True. Not going to disagree with that. But to me, as the programming side, it's like machine learning is kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucking cool.
It's
though.
super rad. It's worrying. I don't know how they're going to regulate it.
Yeah.
Like, imagine someone just takes like a photo of your mom or a photo of your girlfriend and have them in like any porn that they want with the exact same face, exact same voice.
That's the deep fake ethics thing, and that's a big thing. Obviously, is like
because it's gonna happen.
How far are you allowed to take that? And that's a big issue. But at the same time, it's like it is kind of crazy to me but cool that you can teach a machine to do basically anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fucking nuts, man. All right, let's get into this Huawei thing. Big news. So basically, the Trump administration has barred American companies from selling to Huawei without.
We had one more news topic there first.
Oh, what is it?
George R.R. Martin is supposedly working with From Software on a secret project.
Oh yes, I missed that.
Bruh. Can we get a Game of Thrones like Sekiro, please? That would be sick.
Yeah, that would be fucking lit.
God, that would be awesome.
Bloodborne Game of Thrones?
Right, like just cool. Can I just be Jaime Lannister and like just go kill everybody?
Yeah.
Like that's what I want. Like,
and if there's one developer that has impressed me in the last 10 years, it's From Software. They have really like become one of my favorite developers.
For like combat style games, and like
they're just so good.
That would be good, and if it's George, you're actually going to get a good story.
And one of the things that's been From Software's biggest struggle, arguably,
is the story.
Sekiro was decent, but like from what I've heard, mainly because it didn't have that open-ended endlessly where a specific character in a specific path with a specific like class. But yeah, story.
No, Sekiro's story was dumb. It's not an interesting story whatsoever. It's
and
interesting
it's
enough.
And it's probably the best one they have.
Yeah, it is.
But then you have George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, and then you get one of the best writers of our generation, and then you give him the best combat developer of our generation.
Unfortunately, the end of the game's story, it will never be completed.
True.
I'm okay with that.
You just get to a point and the game goes,
It just shuts off.
It's just black. It's just everything turns black, and it's like,
And there's a couple water bottles that you have to fucking collect.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
you know what?
this is some Starbucks stuff.
I would still play it every time.
Yeah, me too.
Like, no,
Yeah.
hands down. Like we can't skip that. I want that.
It was
Yeah.
good until Boss 5.
Exactly. Like, not even for the memes though. Like, if you could make a really good From Software combat style game and actually give that a really good story,
And
Yeah.
not hide
That's-
all of the lore like 1,000 feet deep in secret items
Yeah.
and then
Well, if
theory
you-
crafting.
and you
Well,
could still have some. Well, you could still obviously have a lot of that.
They're
'cause that's
going
all-
to
Yeah,
do
you
that.
can totally do that.
No, they're
yeah,
going
because
to
that's-
do that.
Yeah, because like theory crafting is really fun when George is involved because he's very, very good at
I don't
that
like, I don't
style of a
mind
story.
secret items that have like hidden
Right, I know.
lore to them. I just like it when that hidden
You want
lore
some
is vital to the story, when it's
Right.
expanding the lore.
right,
Mm.
but like that to me is a very interesting idea, and that could actually end up, if they end up actually doing that, that would probably be like, okay, this is my most hyped game for 2022 or whatever.
I mean, I think you can get hype now. I think you can start getting hype now.
Like, fuck Death Stranding.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding, but like only slightly.
No,
Like,
but dude, George R.R. Martin teaming up with From Software,
right?
that's insane. That's
And,
like,
like-
Avengers
and the-
style.
And the weird thing, oh my, come on. But the weird thing too, like From Software, as good as they have been doing, that would just complete that would lift From Software and actually put From Software on the map properly, I think. Because the weird thing that I've learned recently,
Yeah, they just missed out on the story. If they had a good AAA blockbuster epic story, dude, they would be with the Zeldas, they would be with the Halos. They just haven't gotten
they
there
would-
because the
and
stories
they
are
would
just
actually
like
sell
meh.
that too.
Yeah.
Because those games don't sell as well as you would think.
No.
But at the same time, on top, well, that's Activision, because Activision publishes their stuff for that.
Mhm.
And I've learned this recently too. If you want to understand the power of WoW and a subscription, Blizzard still made more money, even with WoW dying, being a shit game. They made more money than all of Activision. in the
Oh
last-
yeah, I'm sure.
that's insane to me. Like, okay,
That's the only reason why they keep it going
it's
on.
literally a Call of Duty release, which sold massively, Sekiro, which sold massively. Like, they published all of those. They published a Destiny expansion, everything. Blizzard still made more money somehow.
Mhm.
Like, that's actually kind of insane.
No, it makes sense. It's the same kind of thing with like the Candy Crushes. Like you give someone that good carrot on a stick, and you create a loyal following, they will open their wallets for you, man.
So, From Software, please go make this game. Let me just play vanilla WoW until this game comes out, and then replace Blizzard as my true overlord.
Yeah, I'm hyped for it, man. This is insane. This is insane. I mean, the only other Avengers style team that I would want to see would be like Hideo Kojima and Platinum getting together. You know what I mean?
Hideo Kojima working with Suda51. The two of them with their out there thoughts and crazy ideas, working on a game and have it be also done by Platinum. 'Cause Platinum is great.
Yeah.
I would play that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
But
cool.
still, for right now, I want to get stoked on this game because who knows if it'll actually happen, because also apparently George has 2 books to still finish, which he's not going to, and he's working on like 7 other projects or some crazy.
Yeah, and these are
amount.
just rumors. These aren't
Yeah.
really
No,
founded by
he
anything.
just wrote on his blog that's not a blog yesterday, like, yeah, I've still got like another 3,000 pages to go on the last 2 books, and
Who writes the books when he
I-
dies?
he doesn't want anyone, so it's gonna be Sanderson.
They should give it to the guy who wrote the original Witcher.
No,
Why not? I would love to see
it's a
that.
great series, but
He should give it to J.R.
No.
Tolkien.
Give it to the Adams kid who finished the Hitchhiker the 5th book when Douglas died.
All right. So back to Huawei. Trump administration barred American companies from selling to Huawei without a U.S. government license in a significant escalation of the trade war with China. Quote, "We are complying with the order and reviewing the implications," a Google spokesperson said on Monday. Huawei, the world's number 2 smartphone seller, relies on a suite of Google services for its devices, including Android and the Google Play App Store, which they are essentially barred from. Google basically just said you can't use any updates, you can't use the Play Store. You essentially have to create your own system in order to sell your phones, which Huawei basically claims that they're doing.
I mean, it makes sense.
They have to. They don't have a choice right now.
Well, right now, it obviously makes sense, but I wouldn't be surprised if they haven't been working on that for a while.
Which would be, I mean, if in their best interest to do so. This is a good, kickoff point for them because they are a massive company.
Long term wise, this probably just helps Huawei, to be honest.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. It'll just make them, get them into second gear. Despite the Department of Commerce recently granting U.S. tech companies a 90-day extension to continue working with Huawei due to increased security concerns and the threat of being banned from using U.S. tech, Huawei is being forced to prepare for a future without access to Google Apps and hosted on the Play Store. However, a new report from Bloomberg is any indication Huawei could be much closer to having its own independent app store than most people may have realized. That's because preloaded on almost every late model Huawei handset is coming called App Gallery, which, like Google's Play Store, functions as an alternative way to download apps on the Huawei phones. Hey, shout out for the follow. Thank you. So, yes, they're basically working on it. They've been working on it. Remember, Huawei, and this is something that I found out not too long ago, but Huawei was under investigation in 2012 under the Obama administration for security issues. Basically, they had a problem with Huawei infiltrating devices, and they were put on some list, and this is just an extra extension of that. Plus, it's used as a bargaining chip from the Trump administration to further escalate the trade war that he has going on with China now, which seems to be a very big clusterfuck, this trade war.
But it's also it's that, and then it's also going into no one still knows how much the Chinese government owns Huawei, basically.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows that, but it is interesting to me that they're escalating, because there's concerns there on both sides, but trying to look at it objectively, it's interesting that Google's buying into the government. That's interesting to me, but it's also, did Google do it because they were told, or did they just do it? And other things like that.
Because of competition? Is that what you're getting at?
No, to an extent, but it's more just interesting to me that, like, okay, the trade war is getting to the point that now we're forcing one of the biggest companies in the world to basically get rid of their biggest hardware partner in the world.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of insane, because Huawei is probably Google's biggest hardware partner. Let's be honest. They sell a ton of phones.
Yeah, they're number 2.
Yeah.
They're a fucking huge company. They sell a huge amount of phones, and this is definitely going to...
the biggest market in the world.
Yeah, it's definitely going to hinder both companies in an interesting way. Windows also removes Huawei laptops from their store, remains silent on potential Windows ban, which would be interesting to see if Microsoft actually would bar Huawei products from using Windows on their laptops, and that would just destroy the entire MacBook line.
It would.
I mean, what else would they use? Like a Linux-based system?
They'd probably use Deepin, but that would scare me, because then they'd have to buy Deepin, and then I wouldn't be able to trust Deepin even less than I already do. Deepin's a really great Linux distro.
And would the average consumer be able to use that?
Oh, yeah. No, like Deepin's actually, like, UI-wise, is done really, really good at just being a regular kind of desktop. It's kind of a Mac Windows hybrid clone where it's very easy to figure out. It's very easy to use. It looks really good. It's like, as a Linux user, I want to use it, but at the same time, that Deepin by itself already has a lot of interesting security concerns, just mostly because it's China. Like, they have in the past had like a sort of updater tracker type thing that just sent data back to their web store, which they claimed was just hardware specs, which most people sign in and do or don't. But like, just because it's China, we don't really like that sounds bad. It's just it's going through a government router, so then we just don't know.
Yeah, that's the big issue. That's the big issue with these products. Essentially, if China really wanted to infiltrate the U.S. and its cyber security, it would have done so a long time ago. I mean, the amount of products that they just pump through here, they would have already done it.
Cybersecurity here and in most of the world's a fucking joke.
Yeah,
like it is.
So it's not really about that. It's more of a bargain and chip. This is China's response, according to CNN, by the way. Real quick. Huawei has been building an alternate operating system just in case it needed, said Huawei spokesperson Glenn Schloss. We would like to be able to continue operating in the Microsoft and Google ecosystems. Huawei licenses Microsoft's operating system for its laptops. Beijing has repeatedly criticized the U.S.-led campaign against Huawei, called the addition of the company to the trade blacklist a political move. China supports Chinese companies defending their legitimate rights according to laws. Lu Kang, a spokesperson for Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs, said at a press briefing Monday, in terms of what measures either Chinese companies or Chinese government will take, please wait and see. Yeah, they're probably going to retaliate with some sort of tariff, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. It's like, and they probably should. But like that, then that's the flip side. While we do have concerns, and some of them legitimate concerns about Huawei, they could be clean.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't have like concrete evidence they're actually doing anything bad. It is mostly a political power move.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a good move to force the Chinese government to understand that if you want a lot of the world, especially first world leaders, to do business with you, it's not a good idea to have all the companies go through your government. It just makes a state-run private enterprise just so much more convoluted. So I understand Trump's thinking in doing that, and Huawei is a good company to go after because, in terms of the U.S. market share, which is not very large, and it will basically shake up the.
It is bigger than you think.
Yeah, it's bigger than I think, and it's enough to Huawei, make a splash, but it's just not big enough. Like if they would have done that to say, hey, Apple, you can't do any business in China, then a lot of people would have been upset.
Well, it is harder too that way because like Huawei is probably one of, if not the biggest actual manufacturer of like a lot of internet infrastructure type stuff. Yeah. So like that, there is going to be probably impacts of that, and we'll see how far it actually goes. They make a lot of, they do a lot of stuff like Qualcomm. They make a lot of Wi-Fi chips. They make a lot of, almost all of the 5G stuff was originally going to be Huawei. They do a lot of infrastructure things too. Like it's a huge company. They do a lot. So it'll be interesting to see that. The other thing I wanted to point out is if you're interested in this, I haven't gotten to watch through all of it, but I want to give a shout out, and I have to give a shout out. Lou from Unbox Therapy.
Yeah.
He made a newer YouTube channel that's just him doing like a podcast style, but he did about an hour's worth of just trying to objectively
discuss this.
Right. Discuss here is side A and here is side B. I'm not saying what side is right, but here's what side A is saying and here's what side B is saying. And he did a good job trying to explain a bit more in depth if you got an hour to just try to figure out Huawei or try to understand it better.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta give a shout out to him. He made a really good video on it that I was actually really impressed on because I didn't think, no offense to him, I don't know him, so I just thought of him as the unboxing dude and not actually
right, like a tech journalist.
Yeah, like it is almost like that, where he did a really good job of trying to portray side A, side B. There we go. Like we're just gonna try to go with facts, but it was also his actual like podcast style, like that was actually pretty good. It was not. I was impressed. Because I don't watch him a lot.
Yeah. Do you know the channel name?
I think it's Lou Later.
Yeah, you're right. All right. So one of the big implications of this is that DJI could be next.
They could be,
and this would
suck.
This would be terrible because they make the best drones. They make a lot of the best gimbal software. They've made a lot of innovations in the photo world.
They just basically destroyed GoPro.
Yeah, I wouldn't say destroyed, but
No, but like
they made a
just
good
released
GoPro camera.
They just released a new action camera, which looks really cool. Actually.
Yeah. U.S. Department of Homeland Security has warned of the dangers of Chinese-made drones, according to an alert obtained by CNN. The alert cautions that consumer-level drones, of which the vast majority in North America are sold by Shenzhen-based DJI, could send back sensitive flight information to headquarters on Chinese soil that could subsequently be accessed by the government. Again, and this is a huge problem with the way that China works, is that everything has to go through China. And hopefully what a trade war does is help China understand that it's not, you just can't really do that. I mean, imagine if everyone had to deal with the U.S. government and all the private companies that we have.
They do.
Oh, the U.S. government?
No, but everyone has to deal with all of us.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah, don't pretend they don't deal with all of our bullshit.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, like, imagine if you tried to buy one of my products and I had to be like, well, you have to talk to...
You don't have to go through the government.
This bureaucracy. Yeah. To fucking...
But, like, we have a long history of kind of fucking up everyone else's shit for a while.
Yeah, and in this situation, it's interesting because, I mean, I don't understand why this sort of... I understand the concern for it, but, I mean, DJI is a tried and true trusted company that's been used for a while, and it hasn't had any sort of prerequisite situations that would cause this. The DHS alert continues. The United States government has strong concerns about any technology product that takes American data into the territory of an authoritarian state that permits its intelligence services to have unfettered access to that data or otherwise abuses that access. Those concerns apply with equal force to certain Chinese-made unmanned aircraft systems, connected devices capable of collecting and transferring potentially revealing data about their operations and the individuals and entities operating them, as China imposes unusually stringent obligations on its citizens to support national intelligence activities. Yeah. So DJI could possibly be in the crosshairs of this. They basically just have to prove that no flight data is sent back to Chinese soil in order for them to be cleared. And I'm not sure... I mean, if that is true, that is a little concerning, but I don't see why it would. Why that? I mean, I guess it could.
Going back to it, it's the biggest reason why it's concerning is just because we don't know what China's government is doing with that data.
Right.
Because China's government can get that data.
We don't know what they would do with that data.
Shenzhen's a little bit different, but yeah, like
the issue is that they can access the data. Really. All right.
I would say the same thing. I don't want the U.S. government accessing my data. I don't want any government accessing my data. No. I don't want B&H accessing my data. Looking at you, B&H.
Why did they do that? Are they accessing your data?
No, but they definitely buy it. They definitely buy a lot of data.
Why are they? Are they convincing you to buy a new lens or something?
Oh, they're trying, dude. I literally have not bought a product from B&H. I literally only have a student account with them to look at prices, but I've never bought from B&H. I've never given B&H address, anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing. They just have my email. They have my student email address.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Finally, this is a very, very interesting story.
Here's the new B&H gift book they sent me.
Oh, they have your address?
Full of all of their products. Straight from B&H.
Well, that's a little weird.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've only given them my email address, but
I wonder if that's illegal. You should look into that. You might have a lawsuit on your hands.
It's legal at the moment, but yeah, that's what data does, guys.
I bought shit from B&H and I haven't even gotten one. B&H needs to fucking step up their game. I would love a catalog.
It's actually a cool catalog. Like,
yeah, it probably makes you want to buy all their fucking shit.
But it is just weird to me. It's like,
no, that is weird.
Okay.
It's especially weird since I've been using them for years now and I've never gotten one of their catalogs. All right, last story. Craig Wright, which is the creator of something called Bitcoin Satoshi's Vision. Craig Wright is what I think is a huge fraud in the crypto industry. He basically claims he's Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin. Well, recently he filed a copyright registration for the Bitcoin white paper as well as early Bitcoin code, basically saying, look, I am the creator of Bitcoin. I have proof. I'm going to file for a copyright on this white paper and the code, and I'm going to be known as the creator, as Satoshi himself, and drive up business for my fucking Bitcoin SV. There you go.
Just have a fake email.
There you go. Just buy it from Amazon, though.
No, I still trust B&H. It's just weird. No, but like the Satoshi guys, yeah, wasn't that all based originally off of like him having like some weird email addresses or something, and then him trying to claim it was him?
Yeah, just some stupid fucking bullshit. He created Bitcoin SV and is essentially trying to convince everyone he's Satoshi and that his vision, his coin is the way to go. So they all buy his coin, and then he could probably, sell it off at something. Well, anyways, he registered for the copyright, and he was granted it. He was granted the Bitcoin white paper copyright and the early Bitcoin code. And what's interesting is that when he filed for his registration, the copyright agency asked for certain Bitcoin addresses that would prove his identity and prove that he was the owner of the Bitcoin white paper and the Bitcoin code. And supposedly they granted him that. Now, do they know exactly what's going on? Well, by the way, never go on CoinGeek. CoinGeek is operated by Craig Wright and his team, and they all will tell you that he is the creator and the god of Bitcoin. Craig Wright has filed copyright registration for Bitcoin white paper and most of the 0.1 version of Bitcoin's or early software. Below are the 2 registrations in full, which you can read here. However, as the executive director of Coin Center, Jerry Brittle points out, anyone can register a copyright claim. It's not necessarily proof of ownership or recognition by the U.S. Copyright Office itself. Jerry Brito says, registering a copyright is just filing a form. The Copyright Office does not investigate the validity of the claim. They just register it. Unfortunately, there is no official way to challenge the registration. If there are competing claims, the office will just register all of them. And then CZ, the creator of Binance, one of the biggest Bitcoin or crypto exchanges in the world, he writes, masterpiece, you have my full support, Peter. To be clear, I didn't choose sides on technology. We let market do that. I am against fraud, such as lying to be someone. As such, it is my strong opinion that Craig Wright is a fraud. And there is essentially Dr. Peter McCormick writing, my formal response to the letter issued by the lawyers of Craig Wright and Calvin Ayer that was sent today. We look forward to resolving this quick and efficiently. And is basically dealing with the Craig Wright situation, because Craig Wright has been suing people for defamation by anyone who says that he's not the Bitcoin creator. He goes out and sues them. He filed the libel lawsuit against Bitcoin podcaster Peter McCormick, seeking damages of $130,000. He also took aim at Vitalik Buterin, creator of Ethereum, and threatened to reveal the identity of a crypto influencer, Hodlnaut.
Craig Wright is the official maker of Bitcoin.
Yes, Craig Wright, you are. We've always said that from the start. Yeah, he thinks he's Satoshi. He's doing everything that he can to essentially prove that he's Satoshi, and in doing so is only proving otherwise. And what's interesting is just the fact that he got the copyright for it. I don't know exactly what that means. He doesn't use Bitcoin. He uses Bitcoin SV, which is a complete different sector of Bitcoin. But this has been very interesting, and I find it interesting that this is all taking place now, once after the second sort of rally that we had. If you were to ask me on prices and what I think is going to happen, I think wait a little bit. There's going to be a little bit of a retraction in the market, and then we're going to start to see pre-2017 prices again soon, and eventually some new all-time highs. There's a lot of new big institutions coming into crypto. Ethereum is a good bet as well, since JP Morgan and Microsoft just announced that they're going to be using Ethereum as their main platform, basically.
Just buy whatever Korea likes, basically.
Just buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. A lot of the shit coins, just ignore them. There's a lot of bullshit out
Except IOTA, apparently.
Yes, IOTA's good.
Ripple. Oh, Ripple.
Ripple's okay. They're a little bit worrying just because they are centralized.
Fair, but it's just if it works in Korea, usually that's what dictates the stock market. I'm pretty sure like all the whales are in Korea. Well,
I don't know. There's also a lot of stable coins like MakerDAO and Monero that have a lot of support and backing behind them and are doing interesting things. There's some new interest in decentralized exchanges, which have been making waves recently. So essentially, you don't have a centralized exchange like Coinbase or Binance, because Binance just had a whole kerfuffle. Don't buy anything from Tron. Tron is a big scam. I don't like Tron at all.
That sounds like the best way ever to fix all these scam sites. Decentralize them. Just send your money to 8 different people and it'll work.
Sort of. Instead of sending it to one person. All right. So
at least I can sue one person. I don't got the money to sue 8.
Yeah, it's true. That's a good point. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the show. I would definitely suggest re-entering the crypto space. It's a good time now. There's a lot more. A lot of the ICO stuff is gone. A lot of that early sort of adopter stuff is pretty much just gone. We've already went through the winter where it was down to 3,000, and a lot of it's been an accumulation phase. So you probably have a pretty good option. If you're going to play margins, then you're basically gambling. It's just too volatile to do any sort of margins. Have a margins trader do that for you. If you're going to hold long term, which is what I would suggest. And long term, I mean like 6 months to a year, not even that long. You'll probably make some good profits. Just don't forget to take your profits. Don't hodl forever, because then you're going to miss out. All right. That's pretty much it. I think that's it. I don't think there's any other news. Is there? Did I miss anything? I think we're good.
Probably, but oh well.
I think we're good. We talked about OnePlus last week, right?
Yeah. And the Pixel and everything else. I just want to go play Vanilla WoW, so we're done.
All right, everyone. We'll catch you guys next week. Jerry's going to go play WoW. I love you all. Bye-bye.